الحمد لله الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Welcome to the 20th Daily Quran Gems hosted by Mr. Umar bin Abdulaziz. Inshallah, in the next 20 minutes or so, it will be the 25th night of this blessed Ramadan. In other words, there is a very decent chance that this might be Laylatul Qadr. I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows us to make this time precious and to value it, and that if it is Laylatul Qadr, that He allows us to worship Him like we've never worshipped Him before. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We've been discussing principles of spiritual progress. We've done 8 so far. I'm going to add 2 more today, inshallah. Perhaps these will be the last 2 of these set of principles. And then, inshallah, we will pivot to something, a slightly different set of things that we're going to talk about next, inshallah. So, just to recap, number 1, we mentioned consistency. Number 2, leaving the irrelevant. Number 3, constant striving. Number 4, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of dunya cannot coexist in one heart. Number 5, leaving sin is much better than doing extra good deeds. Number 6, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is the best action at any time or occasion. So in other words, you have to learn what that is. You have to find out what that sunnah action is of that time. And that comes from learning the deen. Another way, which is not often mentioned, is to actually be around the people of knowledge. Just by observing them, you will understand what the sunnah of that moment is, given that they are people that practice the sunnah. Number 7, the characteristic of ihsan, of excellence, cannot be toggled on and off. In other words, either you will be lazy in your entire life, in every aspect of your life, or you will be a muhsin, you will be a person that pursues excellence in every aspect of their life. You cannot be selective in choosing where you want to be lazy and where you want to excel. But rather, this is a characteristic of a person that they have to inculcate within themselves of being a person of ihsan. And then therefore, everything that they do, if they decide to pursue some sort of academic learning, they will excel in that. If they decide to take up a hobby, they will excel in that hobby. If they decide to work, they will excel at their work. If they decide to memorize the Quran, they will excel at the memorization of the Quran. If they decide to do dhikr, they will excel at that. And if a person becomes lazy, they will become lazy in all aspects. You cannot pick and choose. Number 8 is the importance of sincerity and the fact that we don't pursue feelings. We don't pursue pleasurable feelings in dhikr, in salah, or we don't mix our intentions. We always make it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we discussed last time that there are 3 categories of worshippers according to Imam Ghazali. The first category is the highest category, in which people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His pleasure and His pleasure alone. Number 2 are those category of people that worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeking something from Him, like some kind of reward or their fulfillment of their dua, etc. And those kind of people, you will see, when they need something from Allah, of course we need everything from Allah, but when they feel some particular need, like they need a job, or they need, their child has gone off track, they need him to come back, they have some kind of financial difficulty or health difficulty, when they need something in desperation, they will increase in their worship and they will try to get that need fulfilled from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that way. Imam Ghazali calls these people merchants, they're traders. They're like, okay, Ya Allah, if I give you more of this, then you give me more of something else. It's a trade, everything is a trade. And then the last category was the category of people that he calls slaves. These people, they don't necessarily want something positive, but they're just afraid of something negative happening. They're afraid of losing their blessings. They're afraid of being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today, inshallah, we're going to add a number 9 and number 10, which is that if you value your time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make your time valuable. And vice versa. If you waste your time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will waste your time. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Okay. If a person feels like their time is something precious and is something very valuable, it's one of the most valuable things they've been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is true, then they will engage in things that are useful to them in this world and the hereafter. They will not waste their time in useless things, in things that don't benefit in the hereafter or in this world either. And as a result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open up opportunities for them that will make their time even more precious. Because you're showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you value your time, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase you in that blessing. It's like you're being grateful for that blessing, right? You're doing shukr of that blessing. One way of doing shukr for a blessing is to actually use it for something good. So when you use your blessing of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless it even more. I'll give you the example of my teacher, mashallah. When you talk to him, he doesn't make you feel rushed. Even though he has like so many other things to do. And his time is very precious and very valuable. He will make sure that you are heard. He will make sure that you're understood. He will make sure that you speak as much as you want, and then he will answer you if he wants, if he feels that it's beneficial. But you will never feel rushed. He'll ask you, is everything else okay? And you would think that this person has so much time. But deep down, for people that know him, they know that he has like so many other better things that he can be doing, but he's taking out time for you. So you yourself will feel rushed to not waste his time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put it in your heart not to waste his time. And as soon as your conversation is done, you feel like hanging up because you don't want to waste his time. He values his time, and you know that, and therefore you are not going to waste his time because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts it in your heart. And another example, which is a very beautiful example, is would a person ever, let's say, buy $1 million derby, racehorse, and then make that horse pull a carriage or a cart? People will say you're crazy, right? Because you bought $1 million horse, you should be racing this horse, you should be winning races with this horse. Instead, you're making that horse pull a horse carriage or a cart of some goods. Any random horse can do that. So when a person values their time, they're showing, Ya Allah, I'm a racehorse. I should be doing awesome things, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put him in the pursuit of the akhirah. Whereas the person that wastes their time, they're just an average horse, right? They have no real special quality that they're showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them tug the cart of dunya. He will be burdened, or she will be burdened with mundane things in their life. Whereas the person that values their time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put them in the learning of the deen, of striving in the deen, going out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going to learn in a madrasa, memorizing Quran, worshipping in the night, these kind of activities. That is your time being valuable. It is being put to the best use. Number 10 is that knowledge and dhikr are wings, okay, by which you can fly towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge and dhikr, ilm and dhikr. But I don't want you to just think of them as some random wings, but there are two wings in a bird that has two wings. Okay, they both need to be balanced in order to fly. Imagine if a bird had one broken wing, that bird could never fly, right? I don't think I've ever seen a bird with one broken wing or with one wing only fly, right? The same like a plane. And if one wing is much bigger and stronger than the other, then that bird will probably fly in circles, right? Because there's an imbalance. Both these your knowledge, your ilm, and your dhikr need to be balanced. You need to have the equivalent amount of dhikr and equivalent amount of knowledge in order to fly towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your knowledge becomes much more than dhikr, it's not balanced with dhikr, then that leads towards arrogance, pride, deceit. Knowledge naturally brings this quality of arrogance in a person, because this is a characteristic, it's a sifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this ilm. He is al-alim. So this is a lofty characteristic. It brings a person up, it raises them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam, right? And he granted him a certain rank because of this knowledge. And he asked the angels to bow to Adam alayhi salam after this granting of that knowledge, showing the superiority of knowledge. So when a person doesn't do dhikr and they only engage in learning, that leads towards arrogance, pride, and deceit. And these are very, very destructive diseases of the heart. In fact, in the hadith, it comes that a person that has even a mustard seed worth of arrogance or pride in their heart, they will not enter Jannah. Some mashayikh, they even call it an atomic or a nuclear disease. It's like a small thing causes such huge destruction. And if a person engages in too much dhikr without knowledge, then that creates a lot of love in their heart, in feelings in their heart towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you think that is a good thing. That is a good thing. But when there's no knowledge, then that person doesn't know how to adequately or appropriately direct their feelings of love. In other words, this person will start falling into bid'ah and excesses in deen. You meet people like this, right? They go into extremes and excesses. Why? Because they claim they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much, right? But they don't know what the sunnah is because they never learned it. So they kind of go off track in that regard, right? Become overzealous. For example, imagine a person decides he's loving Fajr and he loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this time of Fajr. He's going to pray 4 rakahs of Fajr instead of 2. He said your salah is not accepted, but he's like his feelings were forcing him to do this because he doesn't know that the best salah and the only accepted salah is the one according to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People that go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have the same issue when they don't balance it with knowledge. They end up coming back with all this zeal and fervor for the deen, which is great, but they don't know how to apply it properly. People actually start running away from them because they're so overzealous and they don't really know how to balance this. So it behooves us to actually understand that we need knowledge and dhikr. The two cannot be separated. They need to go hand in hand. Okay, yes, at some times you may be engaging in more knowledge than dhikr because let's say you're enrolled full-time in a madrasa, but you still need to do your dhikr, right? You still need to be associated with a scholar that can help you and make sure you don't become proud or arrogant. And if you're engaged in acts of devotion, of ibadah, and going out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and dhikr, then you need to make sure that you're also learning the deen. Otherwise, it will lead you to become a person of bid'ah and a person of extremes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to become people of knowledge and dhikr. Is there a question? Someone raised the hand. You can type it in the chat or we can address it next time. You can send a message, inshallah. We're short of time. Inshallah, we'll end the class now. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.